Hi, this is Jackie Williams Cartwright at Alden Lane Nursery, and we're right at the tail end of rose pruning season. We got to get out there, make some time. We want to be prepared for the project, so a recommendation that I always like to make is to make a list and gather your supplies. Certainly gloves are very important, and there are these lovely gauntlet gloves that protect your forearms as well, which are great for rose pruning. Body armor, we have to have body armor. And then certainly protective glasses, important, an old sweatshirt that's not going to get snagged or hurt in any way that you don't want to have happen. And then your tools, hand shears, saw, little longer lopper here, which is great for reaching in. And the recommendation is that you really want to take a rose, prune a rose back by no more than 1/2 and no less than 1/3. And you always want to remove anything dead or diseased or damaged or kind of crossing, which are sort of general pruning rules. But we have a lovely rose here called almost Nearly Wild is what it's called, a beautiful pink rose. And it has a lot of old wood, and I just want to point out the wood that we would try to be removing. So you can see this older, very gray striated wood here. These are very old canes. And whenever you have the opportunity, what you want to do is you want to replace those old canes with young canes. And you can see a lovely young cane here, here. There's another one over here. There are a couple over here. And these are younger too. So my goal with this plant is to remove the older canes, and these younger ones will take over and fill in, and kind of open up the center here. The center is pretty open, but you want to get sun to lay on the bud union, which is down here. That's where all of these little stems are connected. So what you'll do is kind of see the finished product there, and then after we get that major work done, then we're going to tip back the rest of these canes. The number of canes that you leave on a rose really has to do with its vigor. Many times we'll go, gosh, this plant is not very vigorous, we should maybe only leave 3 canes, or maybe 5, or maybe it's 7. And the ideal setting would be kind of an open center with these as evenly as spaced as possible canes around this bud union. So that is that wonderful general idea. So we'll do a little bit of pruning here, and then you'll kind of can see the result. So dead or diseased comes out, certainly. But we really want to work on some of these larger branches, and we'll see if my saw is going to do it. I don't know if it is or not. I know this looks like a big piece to take out, but it is older, and I really do want it to go. So we're going to see how we do here. See if what we can't do is remove this old cane. And we put this bath towel down here so that you can kind of see some of these branches. Okay, so we're going to remove this entirely and take it out. And now you can kind of see that this is more open. We've got this lovely young cane here, a lovely young cane here. They're pretty close together, kind of duplicate, but I would almost be inclined to slip a wine cork in here. Just to kind of push it over, a little plant orthodontics, and just to kind of move it into this position to kind of round things out. That would be great. And then this older cane would come out as well, this guy right here. So we're going to leave these young canes down here, but take this one out. So I'm just going to try to make my way around. Do not let them bite you. That's very, very important. No biting. but you have to be well protected, so remember your body armor. Very, very important. Okay, so we want to protect. I don't want to cut the, let's see if we can do this. All right, so here is a really old cane that we're going to get rid of here. And this guy needs to come out. Oh, you know what this is? This is not a rose at all. I think this is one of those weedy privet guys that just happened to come along, and so we're going to make sure that we prune him out. I don't know that we'll do that right now, but that is not part of the deal. Okay. And this one we are going to leave. This one, remember, we're going to try to coax out to round out the base. We could, in fact, remove that. Boy, we're just being really aggressive. But you know, what's really wonderful about roses is that they are so resilient. Pruning is stimulating. And they just really respond beautifully. Okay, now it's looking better. Look at this. Oh my goodness, the plant looks younger already, right? Boy, that's amazing. I do have to get this silly old privet just sort of out of the way so we can see what's going on here. Let's see if I can do that. So the next thing we want to do is we want to kind of get rid of all the things around the bud union. If there's any craggly old dead stuff, we want to get rid of that. Kind of clean it up as best we can. You know, I think later I'll take more time to make a cleaner cut here, but at least I want to give you the idea of how this is working. So, all right. So yeah, you just want to clean up this whole bud union. You know, a little later I'll take the time to make a little cleaner cut here. But it's really nice to have the sunshine actually lying on this bud union, because that encourages more of these beautiful young canes that's going to, as I was taught by Rosarian legend David Lowell, that keeps your rose young, always selecting for the younger canes. So now that we have kind of that structure that we're after, what we're going to do is we're going to do some more fine tuning, and that is, again, opening up the center of the plant. So we're going to get rid of anything going into the middle of the plant. And then we're going to start taking back. Now this is sort of a stub and nub. We're going to remove that entirely. And these guys, this is a plant that produces lots of flowers. So I'm not going to remove whole canes, but I'm going to leave like this little spray here at the end. I'm going to do the same here up here. Ideally, you're going to try to prune to a bud that's facing in the direction that you want it to grow, the next stem. So that would be going outward like this. Again, here you can see where the spent flowers were. We're going to just nip those off. And let's see, find a bud going in the right direction there. And again, removing all the leaves. You want to get all the leaves off. You want to make sure, unless they're brand new babies, they're just coming out, but the old leaves from last season all need to go, because they just harbor all kinds of disease problems. And you want to start fresh, fresh, fresh. This is a really good example of a piece that's sort of broken. You want to make a nice clean cut right there. And that little stem looks pretty doggone good. I think that looks good. We're just going to nip and prune and clean that up a little bit there. And these we're going to do basically the same thing to you. We're just going to nip off the ends. We're going to leave this sort of a little bit more growth, because you're going to get a few more flowers, clusters of flowers on the ends. Nipping, pruning, removing any leaves that you have there would be great. Here we're going to nip down, remove. Again, we have this sort of fan here. This would be done with kind of a shrub rose like Nearly Wild, or it would be like for a Floribunda. For a hybrid tea, we would just leave these lovely bare canes without leaving this kind of extra fluff at the top. All right. So that kind of gives us a good idea of how we can open up this plant, keep it young, and have this incredible display of bloom. Roses, for the most part, and there are always exceptions to the rule, produce flowers on current season's growth. So growth that you don't see here, the growth that's going to emerge during the big spring flush of growth. And that's where you're going to get all these flowers. So really, the more you prune, the more flowers you get. And that reminds us that when they've finished their bloom, if you want to enjoy them in the garden, leave them. But then as they're finishing, make sure that you remove those finished flowers and give them a little light haircut, and you will be stimulating them into the next beautiful bloom for spring. And then repeat bloom all summer long, which is really, really great. Okay, I think we've done it. Perfect. So I hope that gives you some courage to get out in the garden. Remember your body armor, very, very important. And in March, we're going to start thinking about feeding them to help them along as well. So here is our newly pruned, enlivened, nearly wild rose.